The classic contemporary style blends notions of modern design with the traditional, offering timeless detail. Now, in today's home, take that and box that into a beautiful family-friendly South African home with entertainment spaces and
In today's episode of Finest Homes, we take a look at a European classic with a modern South African twist, set in Waterfall, Johannesburg. We chat to architect Karissa Barnett and her team, as well as the homeowner Philippa Viljoen, about what inspired this classical home.
Hi, Tamila.
Hi, Karissa. How are you doing? Lovely to see you. Thanks for having me.
Let's go through.
When architect Karissa Barnett met with owners Philippa and Wayne Viljoen, the brief was for a family-friendly, easy living home that would be ideal for entertaining and making the most of the estate's lovely natural scenery.
Let me show you the outside and the lovely patio we have over here.
Where you get to see this beautiful view. I mean, Karissa,
it's stunning, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
We have the river down there, so it's a beautiful aspect.
With this in mind, Karissa designed a double-story house that offers north-facing river views from both the bedrooms upstairs and the living areas downstairs.
What was the most important aspect of the design?
Well, when we start a design, we take a very clear brief from our client. We get to know our client and their wish, what their dream home is going to be. Then we look at the land and see we have a beautiful piece of land here. It's north-facing, goes down to the river, and that must be appreciated. And the brief from my client was to design a house which was a good family home. It was to be influenced by the European style with high ceilings, very elegant, and it's a large house. It's 850 meters, so we were able to achieve all of their wish lists within the home.
Karissa, talk to me a little bit about the layout of the exterior and kind of the architectural considerations.
Well, we wanted to make sure that the inside came outside. So we have a family room kitchen which flows out onto this patio here, which is a big entertainment patio.
Yes, yeah.
And along from there we have the dining room, which also leads straight out into the garden.
Yeah.
So it worked extremely well.
Absolutely. I must say the L shape allows for an inside-outside marriage.
Yeah, it's good for a big party.
Absolutely.
And lovely for children.
It just feels like the outside area is so well thought out.
Yes, the garden is important.
Yeah.
And you know, with children and a play area, you want to have a level area. And with the fall going down to the river, we created stone retaining walls. And you can see the stone columns over here, protecting you from the outer area. And then there's a lower area where the swimming pool is. So when the children were small, they could fence that off. Now that they're older, it's not necessary, but it was ideal at the time.
I must say, standing here, I feel like I'm wrapped up in an old European classic, and yet just over the fence, you can see true African nature. How did you make these elements work together so well?
Well, I think that, you know, the house is a classic. It can fit in anywhere. It can fit in France, in England, and South Africa. We have sliding doors from every room so that there's easy flow out to the garden. And even up on the upper level, we have balconies off of each bedroom with patio doors that open out. You can see from the style, we have a slate roof, we have beautiful stonework, and it blends. It works really well with this natural environment. And then if we look over here, we have a patio, which is beautiful for entertaining. We have a pizza oven, we have a braai area, and there is a lovely bar which is called the gin bar. So when Philippa and Wayne have their friends around, they have a wonderful time.
While Philippa and Wayne's previous home was minimal, modern and compact, they wanted their new home to be easy to live in, warm and well suited to life with young children and an assortment of pets. They chose Karissa Barnett not only because she's a mother herself, but because the houses in her portfolio had pleasing proportions and a good flow.
Tamila, let's go inside and have a look around.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Don't go away. After the break, we explore the interior of this classic home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we're exploring a European classic with a modern South African twist, set in Waterfall, Johannesburg. Before the break, we chatted to architect Karissa Barnett, who designed this beautiful home, and now we get to explore the interior.
Now, Karissa, now that we're in the interior, talk to me about the layout and interior design.
Right, let's start in the entrance hall.
Yeah.
When you arrive there, you will look straight ahead and see the dining room and straight out to the garden.
Yeah.
And if you go to the left, you will find the kitchen, which is open plan to the family room. We then have on the other side the playroom and the study and the gymnasium and the guest suite. Going back into the entrance hall, there is a sweeping staircase which will take you upstairs. And there we have a PJ lounge, and then the children have beautifully laid out rooms to their own style. You'll see in Leah's room, her dressing room is very much a lovely little girl's room. And then Dylan has a beautiful bed with a den above it. The master suite was beautiful to design. We had plenty of space. We've got an open fireplace there and a lovely big dressing room. And then the bathroom was fitted out with the best of finishes, a superb shower, and built in just little features everywhere, recesses, and it's a lovely self-contained area.
Now, you're working with 850 meters of space, and yet you haven't wasted 1 inch of it. And I see that you've kind of saved it through storage.
Yes.
Please talk me through your thinking behind that.
Well, a family needs plenty of storage.
Yeah.
You know, the playroom has an area to store all the toys, and over the years since this house was first designed, the playroom was very much a little girl and boys playroom. Now it's grown and it has a TV, and it's changed slightly.
Yeah.
But everywhere we have plenty of cupboards and recesses and lots of detailing. It makes the house a home.
Every aspect of the home was cleverly thought out by creating areas that will help keep the home organized, like a drop-off area near the garage that's fitted with hooks and other storage solutions so the kids can offload their togs and school bags upon entering the home, as well as clever storage facilities all around the home that help with hiding the clutter that comes with having young children.
I'd like to introduce you to Gus. He was responsible for the project management, the building, and all the technical side.
Great, the man who brought your magic to life.
Tanilla, this is Gus.
Thank you, Karissa. Hi, Gus. This is a beautiful home design. I mean, it's the perfect canvas to start from. Describe to me what exactly that means, a country-style home, from an architectural perspective.
The scale of the home, I think, is the first thing that comes to mind.
Definitely.
Not just a large living area, but also the proportions that tie back into that. So the windows, the doors, the moldings internally and externally, all have an effect and a feel on the flow of the home, but leaving you feeling like you're living in a contemporary modern home in which you can grow with.
Now, Gus, I couldn't help but notice this beautiful staircase that meanders right up to the top floor. It's stunning.
Yeah, correct. Interesting you should say that. It's one of the architectural signatures, if you will, of the architectural designer. Natural, flowing, solid oak staircase integrated with the oak wine cellar underneath. You can even tie that back into the fireplace, which is a traditional Georgian design, but done with modern materials.
It was important to the owners that the interiors wouldn't be too traditional, but would reflect the fact that they are a modern, young family.
Like, Gus, I'll be honest, this seems like a big project, and not just because of the scale. Did you face any challenges because of that?
Yes, definitely, and the challenges are quite exciting in a way, because they've produced an opportunity to do something not only by a minimum standard, but also to exceed them.
This home is surprisingly eco-friendly. Although its design may have a classic look and feel, it has been kitted out with the latest in green practice with hidden interior insulation and rainwater harvesting technology. The landscaping was created by Grant Fairley of Springtime Landscaping and was designed to evolve over time as the family grows. The garden mirrors the shape and silhouette of the home perfectly, and with a garden designed for young kids to play in, you can't be too precious about your choice of flowers and landscape.
Grant, I must say, this terrain is a beautiful backdrop to work with. What was the brief and the vision for the landscaping?
The client had a very specific brief. They wanted something that had structure, reflected the architecture of the house, which was a beautiful home, so that was quite cool. And then they wanted places where they could garden as well. And then they've got young children, so play areas for the children to enjoy as well. So the brief was quite detailed, which is always good when you're working on a site like this.
How do you go about executing country-style house in the landscaping?
You look at what's happening with the architecture of the house, and then what I do is I look at the room sizes actually in the house, what the architect has done, and then extrapolate that into the landscape. So the landscape becomes a series of rooms, which is very, very English. It's a very English way of doing that. Yeah. So you pick up that sort of English country style, and then you've got to look at what they're doing in the interiors and then reflect that in what plants you use in the garden.
Yeah. And something quite different here is that you're working with not just the lawn, but above and beyond that. You've got all these trees all around you. Was it quite tough kind of competing with the natural environment?
No, you can always borrow. You'll see the site borrows the natural environment. You've got the river down there, and you've got a landscape that just flows, and the house is elevated, so that helps.
And Grant, what would you say is your favorite part of the garden?
The structure of the hedges. I love hedges. So you can use the hedges like a framework. So you're framing a picture, and the picture inside there you change all the time. So that's where the variation comes in. But as soon as you've got hedges, the landscape looks neat and it looks complete. Yeah. So yeah, I love working like that. It's my favorite part of this landscape, and that's the sort of work I love doing.
And I believe there's a little surprise for us around the corner.
Yes, we can have a look how we address the rather large wall, perimeter wall.
Yeah, and I believe it was to create depth.
So if we look here, this is the main axis of the house. It's coming through here.
Yeah.
So this is actually the longest walk you can take in the house. So we needed to create something that you're looking at as you walk. Created the stone wall, which picks up elements from the house as well, and to give us space to plant, and also create a bit of height. It's not all flat. And then the Boston ivy at the back, and of course the beautiful hydrangeas that look fantastic in summer.
This is brilliant. It puts it straight in the Ivy League for me.
Thank you.
Philippa, this is a truly special home. You must be so pleased with the outcome.
I am so over the moon with it. I love it, and I think it represents everything about our family. Hope you can feel that.
Absolutely. What I love most about it is the fact that you've made it your own. You have followed some guidelines, but you've definitely customized it for your growing family.
And it changes all the time. It's quite an organic home. When we first moved in 8 years ago, it was very different when you've got a 2- and 3-year-old versus now. The house has evolved as the kids have evolved. So we changed the decor up as they've grown up.
That's right. You've kind of stood the test of time with your home. Let's take it right back to the very beginning.
Sure.
What was your brief to the architects and the team that put it all together?
So we're obviously in Waterfall Country Estate, and we came from a very modern house. And the idea of living in the country, you have to have a house that fits your environment. So that was the first brief, country. But then at the same time, we've always loved a little bit of that old world glamour. So we've tried to incorporate that in. But then we also had some little toddlers running around the house. So we needed to take that into consideration. So the houses sometimes can feel a little schizophrenic, but for us, it works perfectly for our family. We've got touches of all those elements in here.
And what would you say were the no-brainers, what you couldn't go without?
Storage. We've got a lot of stuff, and with kids and sport and outdoor activities, there's always stuff all over your home. So we quite strategically planned pockets around the house where we could store stuff. So the home was just for living and storage is just for storage.
Now there's a beautiful kind of inside-outside relationship. What was your vision for that?
I think a flow of a house is very important, and when you go through the house you'll see the kitchen bleeds into the lounge, which bleeds across into the covered patio and then onto the swimming pool. So if I'm standing cooking, I can basically see the family and the kids wherever I am. And then if you go through a few strategic doors, we've got cavity doors that hide the different rooms, so you can open and close as you go. And then the playroom, which is generally the messiest room in the house, is hiding around the corner. So generally you can feel the energy and still keep an eye, but you've got smaller little areas where we can close a few doors.
Like a clever sense of privacy, but still kind of accommodating everyone in the family. And what I've noticed is it's perfect for hosting.
We love a good party, and we love having people over. And the beauty about living in this kind of estate is because it's so secure, I have kids knocking on the door all the time. There are people coming in and out all the time. So the house is built for hosting. The idea is to have an outside area, inside area, and be able to entertain with no fuss.
There's nothing that says a fun time like a gin bar right in the center of your home.
I know.
Well done on that. Talk
Thank
to me
you.
about what inspired the gin bar.
So I think now the kids are a little bit older and I don't need to be as responsible as I used to be, and gin is obviously such a big fad at the moment. We decided there was a little open spot on the patio that we'd put a little gin bar in there, which doubles up as a juicing bar as well, so the kids can join us for a healthy green juice. And there's also a coffee machine, so nothing better than going for a run outside and sitting at the bar on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, which brings me to your style. How would you describe and characterize what you put together in your home?
So I personally love a bit of old world glamour. My husband likes very functional, and my kids are both very different, sporty, and one is quite creative. So together, we've created a family style. And I think it incorporates our environment, which is country, but then has a little bit of all our personalities built into it.
Absolutely.
So I think it's fair enough to say it's quite a unique style.
Absolutely, and that's what makes it your home. Now, did you do this alone, or did you get a few helping hands? Because this must have been a massive project.
No, never. I've used so many people to help.
Yeah.
As I go along, and if I go visit someone's home and I love what they've done, I'll find out who did that and I'll bring them on board to try and help. I think the collaboration of a whole lot of people gives you something a little bit more special than one person coming in and giving you a catalogue home. So I've had handfuls of interior decorators help, but then at the same time, if I see a friend who's got a good eye, I bring her on board and ask for her opinion. So it's once again a very organic decor style.
And ongoing, and it kind of adapts and grows with your family.
All the time, much to my husband's disgust, it changes all the time.
Now, Philippa, I'm glad I don't have to answer this question because I probably have an endless list. But for you, what's your favorite part of your home?
It's a tough question, but I believe that this house has given us the perfect space to be a family and the happiness that the house allows us to have. So I think the period we're in at the moment is a very special time where you watch your kids grow and you're together as a family. And I believe if we didn't have this house, it wouldn't feel so fulfilled because it allows us the opportunity to live the way we want to.
It's the perfect family home.
Thank you.
Don't go away. After the break, we'll show you how you can achieve this look at home. In today's episode of Finest Homes, we explored a European classic with a modern South African twist. Up next, we'll give you a few tips and tricks on how to get this look in your own home.
This charming home with a touch of country beckons you to step onto the patio and say cheers to the good life. And Tavi, I invite you to step into my patio and let's talk easy living, because that's exactly what we're working with this week.
Yes, we are. And how that is achieved is through the ease of the furniture. Just that simple, clean, grey topaz sofa, the wood, the black and white accessories of the cushions. It's so easy. It is really just come home, throw yourself on the sofa and just de-stress.
That's a good point, because it is a family home, and the family does have young kids that are growing up into teenagers and are very sporty and very busy. And yet you can't see that because they've hidden all the functional elements of a family so well and kept the ease out in the open.
Yes, and it also keeps the clutter away. By making it part of the decor that is all kept away, then you're allowed to have just a clean palette of the look. You've got cabinets, you've got ottomans, you've got deep drawers, and that just gets rid of all the toys and the mess.
Let's deep dive into that a little bit. So what kind of furniture is suitable for good storage?
Anything is suitable for good storage. Even a TV unit, even a cabinet is suitable. Even an ottoman with a lid that can open up. A side table that's a box style that you can also open up, or drawers. You just ideally don't hide anything that you don't need. If it's hidden, that means you've actually got access of it.
Or if you don't need it, get rid of it, really. But what I loved about this family is that they didn't waste space. In fact, they tried to utilize it and to make use of it in some clever way. And so let's move on to what we can see, right?
Yes.
Now, when we're talking country, of course, we're talking natural elements once again. That's very true to Mzansi style. And I see that resonates in the patterns and the textures that you've chosen over here.
Absolutely. As you can see, I brought in some black and white monkey styles, a little bit of a modern leopard, and obviously going back to our greys and natural tones. For this time, I thought maybe a sisal with a pattern would be interesting, just to keep that contrast of saying, let's make it more organically gorgeous. Big planters with your delicious monsters housed in that coir, because that coir sisal feel is what really makes the interior look so much more natural with the greys. And they've brought in the vegetation as well with the artwork, with just hanging ferns. It's really well thought through. The big delicious chairs, again, repeating that plantation style vibe in there. I love the hanging lights. And again, the use of coir, because it just brings in that natural raw texture into this very black and white.
I think what was brilliantly done is the use of space. The homeowner didn't hold back in filling all the spaces, even in the cabinetry. And I think that complemented or compensated
the
rather.
emptier space next door with the hidden storage and mess.
And the high ceilings, of course. I mean, that I must say does scare me to some extent, because it does mean that you have to fill the spaces. And our homeowner didn't hold back on that at all, and it worked really well.
So it balances. When it's filled, then at least when you go higher, let it be emptier.
Absolutely. And you spoke about the hanging lights. There was a beautiful one that kind of ran across both floors, in fact, where you could see it from the bottom floor as well as from the top. And from either angle, it worked exceptionally well. Talk to us about the use of using chandelier lights as a key decorative element.
What's exciting about where we're going with design is that we're not just using one chandelier anymore. You can create a cluster of lighting and drop them at different elements and at different heights, and that just creates more of an ambiance, more of a focal point, more of a suspended artwork. And that's what they've achieved very well in this home.
That's such a good point, because it was a talking point when we arrived there. I mean, it even came to the logistics of trying to get it up there on the ceiling. It was awesome, really. Now, this home is perfect for entertainment as well as keeping it private and intimate for the family. And I think the clever use of shutters always helps with that agenda.
It does, and you know, sometimes you don't want the niggly-figgly of curtains, and this just sorts it out so beautifully.
Especially because there's so many themes that we find in this home. To kind of create the right ambiance, it is quite nice to have that kind of leverage to play with in terms of the shutters and the lighting and streams.
And it works with that whole countryish, laid-back look that they're trying to go for.
Okay, and Tabby, you know how it goes. We're looking for our top 3 items to get this style in our homes. Where do we start?
Greys would be a good start for this home. A few naturals and black tones, and obviously the piece de resistance for the other room is the plantation style leafy fabric on the dining chairs.
And any plants in particular that resonate with this particular style?
Definitely palm trees, delicious monsters, indoor plants, big leafy, generous, coastal, tropical plants are the works for here.
So from country to country, coast to coast, it's all about easy living.
Sign me up, baby. Where are we going next?
I don't know, but I've got 2 tickets.
Building and decorating a new house involves a million decisions and a huge amount of time, especially when creating your forever family home. And this classical yet modern South African home is exactly what the family envisioned it to be, a beautiful yet practical home. This truly is a finest home.